Is the very first Tiger Band. I think Greg, Davis, and I, and Danielle, and Jay, and Maya, the board have been working on this for more than a year. I am so excited to see standing room only. You're here, and we really want to have a great time listening to Colin Johnson, and I'm just excited because it's like a birthday present. I had my birthday party here. This is another one, but it's so many more people, and I'm so grateful that you picked up the ball and you said, I'm going to go listen to Colin, and I'm going to be a part of Tiger Bay. Because Tiger Bay After Dark isn't about me, because I'm ancient. It's about people who are younger, who go to work every day, leave at 5, don't want to do anything else, but you come to something like this to hear a great speaker, to have cocktail, to have hors d'oeuvres, and maybe stay for dinner. And that's what it's all about. It's about bringing young executives, young people together with the ancient ones. That's me. I can say that I'm 77. And in life that's,
Neil, you're in your prime.
I'm going to live for 20 more years according to my doctors, so look out. So I have the privilege and the honor of introducing a young man who is the grandson of Maya Angelou. She was my youngest daughter, most of you don't know, and my favorite poet. We read to each other over the phone Maya's poems for a very, very long time when Whitney was a freshman in college and school today. And the poetry lifted her up, and reading with her lifted me up. And Colin is here to lift us all up.
Hello, Bruce. Excellent. I love it.
Thank you, Tiger Bay. I appreciate you all inviting me to speak about one of my favorite topics, my grandmother. I, like many, had to research her life to understand the full breadth of her life experience. I had to read, I had to listen to her interviews, I had to speak to people that she knew to understand the meaning of all the work she did, because being her grandson just was not enough. When Greg Davis asked me to come and speak to you all about how her political views impacted me, I really had to think about it, because I'm not sure that she viewed the world this way. I don't think that she felt like Republican, Democrat defined people. It was not an encompassing description of anybody. And so while I feel like I might know where she might lead on the aisle, I don't feel like she never put herself only on one side and that was all it was. My grandmother is still talked about today, not because of her advocacy on one topic, not because of her poems, not because of her books. It was really about the way that she made people feel. She believed simply that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you said, people forget what you did, but people will never forget the way you made them feel. The way that she spoke and the way that she moved made people feel a certain way about themselves. She lifted up, she inspired, and she made people felt like they were being heard. Her community of friends have their own story about why and how Maya Angelou ended up in her life. They all have that story about the chance meeting that turned into a meal, that turned into a lifelong friendship. My grandmother brought people together with love. And she had friends of every ilk. Once you were in her embrace, she held you tight and she never let you go. Most people that revere my grandmother have never read one of her books. She published over 30 during her life. But they do know her story. Child of the Great Migration, sent away by her mother, raised by her grandmother, raped as a child, and mute for years. Some might also add that she was Oprah's best friend. But the point is that it's about the way she made people feel through her work that made the difference. People felt like they mattered, felt like they were valued, and that they were loved. That's how she was able to write 18 best-selling books and still remains today as the most quoted woman in social media. During her life, presidents and business leaders asked for her opinion. She was sent around the world and flown around the world, all expenses paid, to speak to people and give speeches to various groups, including a speech and a poem she gave to the world on human rights for the 50th anniversary of the United Nations. Her work has impacted me in every way possible. And when Greg asked me, how did her political views impact me, I'd say every way there is to be impacted by somebody's views. From the age of 10, I traveled with my grandmother around the world to all of her speaking engagements, including some of the biggest events that she's ever attended, including the opening of the W.E.B. Du Bois Center in Ghana, the inauguration of Bill Clinton, many Christmas tree lightings with the President Bush's family, and being awarded the Medal of Freedom by Barack Obama. All while still attending all of my graduations from elementary school through my MBA. Maya Angelou had very strong beliefs, but I don't view her as overly political. She said, always tell the truth, just don't always tell all you know. She felt like giving every belief and every thought you had would stifle debate, not add to it. Her speeches cut down all political views and all political angles, because she spoke to us as who we are as humans, what we have in common, and what we can do together. She knew how frustrating it is to know you're right and nobody's listening. But what she would say is, hold your weapon. She believed that our word choice and our voice can be both functional and abusive. My grandmother was a full participant in her life. And her life story is full of gut decisions that she committed to fully, and how she persevered through obstacles. Her life is nothing but miraculous. And the places that she's been, and the people that she's met along the road, she has been weaving the fabric of my family for years. Many of my best friends and people I call family are friends and grandsons and grandkids of her friends. And my children can say the same. From the places she lived to the people she met, she showed me a life well lived. For 27 years, we hosted a Thanksgiving celebration that was emblematic of the life that she lived. It was full of people that she picked up along the road. People from various times, various places from her life. It's an amazing thing. During that 27 years, that group grew to over 400 people. And literally, there's just my grandmother, me, my father. That's it. And I had 2 kids. They're young. They did not add to that group. And all of those people came from every walk of life, every side of the aisle possible, every financial rung. And when you were in that room, you were family. People came together for 5 days from around the world for family events and fellowship. Some years were more elaborate than others, but during that celebration, she built layers of family. She built layers of relationships, much like you are doing in this group here. You see yourself coming to these meetings, but eventually you're going to invite a friend. You're going to invite your daughter, your son, a nephew, somebody else is interested, and you're going to be building those same levels and layers inside of your own family from people from all sides of the aisle. My grandmother had a saying, when you're home, nobody can tell you to leave. And when you show up, you're right on time. What if we saw our fellow Americans in that same light? That we are all home, we all belong, and we are all right here, right on time. My grandmother knew we needed each other, and that we are more alike than we are unalike. It's hard not to get frustrated in today's world, but my grandmother knew there was another something tomorrow. After family blow-ups and breakdowns, she would bring folks together. And over the course of a meal, she could do wonders. She didn't take sides, but she got the parties talking again. And over fried chicken and pineapple upside down cake, she could do amazing things. She was the rainbow in many people's clouds. I have traveled the world speaking about my grandmother, and undoubtedly somebody comes to me with tears in their eyes, men and women, talking about how my grandmother's work, words, or what she did changed their life, saved their life, helped their life, moved their life. I don't know what that is. I don't know what to call that, but it's powerful. And as more of us live with that context and the desire to have that outcome from our life, the entire world will be different.
Yes.
It's a real wonder that she was able to maintain her positivity through all she went through life. But she honestly just refused to let people see her cry. She had an unyielding belief in herself and that her steps were ordered. My grandmother was a writer, an activist, an advocate, and an educator. And the lessons she taught me about life were about love, strength, being a human, and how to be courageous. Without a high school diploma, Maya Angelou earned countless honorary doctorates, gave the commitment speech at Duke for 10 years, and was a Reynolds professor for 30 at Wake Forest. My grandmother loved America, and while acknowledging its flaws, she raised a patriot, someone who is bright-eyed about America's challenges, but who believes in its future. She instilled in me that we have all been paid for by those that came before. So it's incumbent on us to make this world a little bit better. That's our goal. We don't all have to be Maya Angelou, but we do have to participate. I often joke that my grandma's like the real Forrest Gump. It's the truth. Throughout her life, she said yes to things she felt strongly about, and that took her all over the world. From living with West African freedom fighters, to casual cocktails with Billie Holiday, to sharing a flat with James Baldwin, to being the first female black trolley conductor in San Francisco.
That's awesome. Yes.
One of her truisms is that courage is the most important trait to practice. Because without courage, you can't practice any of the other traits consistently. It's important. In today's political climate, Tiger Bay is an example of that courage. With so many people saying you can't maintain friendships across the aisle, let alone marriages. We need more people willing to talk, maybe share a meal, and engage with each other. My grandmother passed away at the age of 86. And at around the age of 80, she started to consider going back to school to get her divinity degree. She knew her work wasn't done and that she could do more. It's with this spirit that she now charges us. Much like the challenge she gave to my MBA class at my graduation during her commencement speech, the last two words were, "What's next?" She knew our work wasn't done, and even though having survived multiple years of study, it wasn't time to relax, but time to take action. When my grandmother passed, I understood my assignment clearly. Not to be Maya Angelou, because nobody can do that, but to work hard, build my community, and live with courage. One of my most proud moments after my grandmother passed was when I was asked to recite the poem, "A Brave and Startling Truth," on the 20th anniversary of her recitation of it in front of the collected body of the United Nations in 1995.
Wow.
Standing in the same place she stood 20 years ago, 20 years prior to that date, I was filled with pride. When my grandmother was young, she had a talent for languages. And she knew that the United Nations paid their translators very well. But they also knew that they weren't going to hire a black woman. The way she tells the story, she would walk by the United Nations daydreaming about what her life and my father's life would be like if she could just work there. Only to be invited back years later to give a poem to the world about human rights. My grandmother believed in the possible, and she believed in people. I'm not sure what advice my grandmother would give us today, except that she would want us to talk, to engage our fears, and never lose faith in each other. I'd like to close with 3 stanzas from A Brave and Startling Truth. We, this people, on this small and drifting planet, whose hands strike with such abandon that in a twinkling life can be sapped. Yet those same hands can touch with such healing, irresistible tenderness, that the haughty neck is happy to bow, that the proud back is glad to bend. Out of that chaos of such contradiction, we learn that we are neither devils nor divine. When we come to it, we, this people, on this wayward floating body, created of this earth, by this earth, have the power to fashion for this earth a climate where every man and every woman can live freely without sanctimonious piety, without crippling fear. When we come to it, we must confess that we are the possible, we are the miraculous, we are the true wonder of this world. That is when, and only when, we come to it. Thank you.
So we're going to roll into some Q&A here. And before we do, a couple things just to bring up. First, we want to make sure that obviously the questions are all respectful. And also that you wait until a microphone comes to you to ask your question. And we'll call on you, so if you do have a question, please do raise your hand. And when the microphone comes up to you, please state your name and be very succinct with your question. We've got a lot of people here tonight. We've got plenty of time, and I know Colin has committed to answering as many questions as possible. And
Not the first
so
time.
what an amazing opportunity. I wanted to share one thing, though, that something that Colin brought up was the word courage. You heard that more than once today, and something that many of you in this room don't know is that Colin used courage today. He went and spoke to a group of high school students earlier today. Talk about courage. Talk about being able to inspire a younger generation with his stories, with his words, with his passion. And we talked about that a little bit, and it's amazing that every opportunity that we have as human beings to connect with another person, every one of those opportunities is an opportunity to inspire, to educate, to learn about one another, and to make a difference in someone's life. I say that because as you're asking your questions tonight, know that the questions that you're asking and the answers that are given can change someone's life in this room just because of your words and because of your story. So with that said, we've got a couple microphones. We'll go around, so if you've got questions, please raise your hand.
I'm Reagan Hansen. Thank you for being here. You know, you grew up with your grandma, who is just an inspiration to all of us, and someone who's battled a lot with life and work and everything. It's always been big. She's not around right now, but the way that the world is going, and especially our country with social media and, you know, everything you see in the news every day, and woke versus not woke, and have you ever sat and thought, like, what would her response be to this? Like, with everybody's afraid to say something. Everybody's afraid to give their opinion. Are they going to lose their job? Are they going to, you know, lose everything? Like, have you ever stopped and thought, man, what would she say about this?
That's a great question.
Thank you, Reagan.
Yeah.
No pressure.
Yeah. I mean, first and foremost, I don't speak for Maya Angelou. Let's be really super clear. Super clear. Okay? Much respect to what she did. She did all the heavy lifting. I'm just here, you know.
What do you think she would say to you?
Knowing her and
Well, she did not cower. She spoke what she felt. But she also came from the heart, you know? And so I think that I think that, you know, part of our issue is not creating space for understanding, you know? You can have the position, you know, have your position. But if you're going to engage somebody else, create an opportunity. Like, don't engage people if you're not going to create that opportunity for understanding. Like, just don't do it. It doesn't help anybody.
I mean, a better way to ask it, based on you were raised around her and her beliefs, and not like.
Get your mic.
Sorry. You grew up with her and her beliefs and her. She instilled a lot into you. So not speaking for her, but how you were raised by her, feel inclined to speak to her. And I'm with you on the whole people don't listen, people just attack. What you were raised by her, what would you think?
I'm not, I gotta say, I don't know that you give me a specific question. I don't want to be clear, because like there's a lot of topics you built in.
Specific question.
Yes, specific.
In today's world, with how just angry people are,
People are angry.
people are angry and people approach it in different ways, and her grandmother was.
She said start with love
Yes.
and start with happiness. That's what she would say.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Because if you start in that vein, I'm not sure how you can go a different direction. If we start with saying, I respect you, I honor you, and I'm interested in hearing what you say, even if you disagree with me. And we can sit down at the table with that context, I feel like there's something positive. And I think that she approached the world understanding the complexities of this world. You know, she was not stopped by the things that happened to her in her life, right? And she never stopped believing in the possible of people. And so I think if you start with that, and if you start with that, they're on the other side, screw that person or whatever the heck you want to say, then the conversation has to be with God and will not be so yeah. Please. Please. Hi. Hi, Vicky.
You mentioned that you did so many events with your
Yeah.
grandmother and your family. And I want to hear something behind the scenes. And nobody knows, and we're going to waste the first time today. But I'm going to bet you mentioned that you thought it was funny or
I've done this before.
shocked.
FYI, I've had interviewers ask me, well, did she ever beat you? So I've had every question out there. Yeah. Well, I will tell you, I actually, this was top of mind because just because I've been read and I know people, a lot of famous people, and some other famous person was talking to me about their child not knowing how famous they were. Right? So a friend of mine is talking to me about their child not knowing how famous they are. Like, they don't get it, they don't understand, they're too young, blah, blah. And so my story is that I was at President Clinton's inauguration, and we were at this super VIP tuxedo. We're in the back room. Like,
How old were you?
17, I think. And they sit me down, and this woman sits next to me. Now, everybody in this room and sitting at the table is VIP. Like, I don't know who they are, but they're VIP. Right? The woman turns to me and says, "You remind me of my husband, Malcolm." I turned to her and said, "Malcolm who?" Do I need to give the punchline? Do I have to give the punchline? Okay? Malcolm X's wife, okay? So Betty Shabazz was sitting next to me, and I just, a lot of cameras, a lot of things going on. Nobody said, this is who's sitting next to you. And so when she came to me, I'm trying to engage in the conversation, but there was cameras, video, and photography. So, please.
That was a good one.
I'm Jan Rotella from Ponderosa, and I have an easier question.
Okay.
My daughter is an international social worker with UNICEF and works in refugee programs. She named her daughter Maya Angelou.
Love that. Again, I don't know what that is, right? I know so many people name Maya. Like, imagine if we lived a life where people wanted to name themselves after us. There's something to that. Even if it doesn't happen, if you held that context for your life, right? That you want to instill this in people, you want to see you in a certain man, it's just amazing. Thank you for sharing that. Sure.
She's very well. And she instilled in you, obviously, an incredible, all the right things. That being said, as you went to manhood and you made decisions, when it came to a critical decision that normally you would on path A, was there ever a time when you heard her voice behind you saying, you don't really want to do this, you want to go to path B, and you need to get it right?
Yeah, I mean, without specifics, what she said was, to whom much is given, much is expected. And that's the foundation on which I live. I made plenty of mistakes. I hope you don't think my angel's grandson's over here like, I've done everything perfectly. I have not. But I think that with that foundation, I think that I felt there was always, and I don't feel like that's like my angel thing. I feel like that's I think people expect something of me. The bar is there. And accepting that raises my standards for how I want to live my life. You know? And so, nothing better than the pressure you put or the things you accept for yourself or the standards you accept for yourself.
Hi, I'm Courtney Vandemonte, and I read I Know Why We Think Weird Things when I was 16 years old, and it changed my life, and it arguably, kind of put me on a specific path. My question for you is, what would you, Colin, say to the people that support banning that book in high school?
I think that if we look at history, banning books is not good. Period. I just think it's not good. My grandma was the first a writer, right? I don't think that she could take a position where there's dangerous books, And I hope I'm not checking my politics at the door here. This is not political. This is more about my grandmother as an author. There's a great, it's not really a piece of art. It's a printing, and it's basically we were all banned. And my grandmother did this with her friends, and basically has her picture with a number of other authors, and they were proud of that. Now, that doesn't mean it should happen, but she was proud. She's like, I said something so meaningful, so impactful, so home hitting that you needed to come and get banned my book. That was like a badge of honor for her. Now, she's not alive now to see what's going on today, but that was then. And so her books, that's not the first time one of her books have been. And because, and listen, her books deals with some serious topics, but it meant something to you, right? It changed your life, and it's changed other people's lives that read it, right? And so I think that's important. I think that's important. I think that her impact on people through her work is something that I have not experienced really with almost any other celebrity I know. Like I know, like there's very few like big kind of celebrities I'm not mad, and like there's something different about her work. It hits home different. There's something like in like the bass layer. And it comes from the right place. It's not trying to put in your thing. Yeah. Please.
My name is Shannon Diego. So I have questions for you for the children. So you have small children.
Mine are a little grown.
Well, mine are all grown.
They feel like they're very grown.
But what would you say to the next generation coming up? What should, and I want to come from you, not so much your grandmother, because I know she instilled so much in you, or my grandmother instilled so much in me, and probably everyone else, their family has. But what would you tell the next generation growing up in this difficult time?
Just worry about the rest of it. Show up and vote. Maybe one day you do the pamphlet, okay? But participate, vote.
Yes.
I think that takes subjectivity to decide who's educated and who's not, and that is where the fallacy of the problem with that, because I get that. Yeah.
Should I hand this mic to Gail? Gail over here.
Hello, Don. I've been told I need to meet you.
We apologize in advance.
I've got a softball question. My name is Don Mann. This group was founded for this very moment. There are Democrats, Republicans, MPAs, and people who don't give a damn here in the room. Would Maya want to join this group?
Heck yeah. I think she did not like meetings that lasted longer than an hour. That's what I'm saying. Greg and my grandmother never had a meeting. They that when Greg, and for those who don't know, Greg is a dear, dear friend of mine. I mean, he was a friend of my grandma's first, but I picked him up when I was about 29 years old, and I have not let that dude go. Oh yeah, there's not been 1 month since I was 29 years old since I have not talked to him on the phone only one time. All right, so he's an amazing man. But I'm sure he has long meetings, I can imagine. He's very detail oriented. But when he asked me to come here, I read your mission statement. And I read about your group. And this is the type of group she would want to be a part of. Right? Because it's about bringing people together. It's not about agreeing with everyone. You're not going to agree with everybody. That's irrelevant. Even if you're all Democrats or all Republicans, you're not going to agree with everybody. It's irrelevant. That's an irrelevant topic. But we have to talk. We have to engage. And she would want to support the engagement. Period.
I direct theater, produce theater, and I go to the National Black Theater Festival. And this is sale every 2 years. And your grandmother was very key part of beginning the National Black Theater Festival. And when she passed away, they had her estate sale, so I was in her house.
Yeah.
And I could say just...
Let's be clear, the National Black Theater did not have an estate sale. We had an estate sale, and that...
Yeah. And the lines were out.
Crazy.
I waited on you. And when the National Black Theater Festival was going on, all of the actors were there. So I don't know if you've been here. You haven't put your shirt on. So
I mean, have I been to my grandmother's house? Yes.
No,
Yeah. I have been to the festival.
Yes, all the actors are there, and we were online. Once you got into the house, we were in. I have three things that just come to mind listening to you and thinking about your grandmother. We were at home, and she wasn't there. She will never be forgotten.
Yeah.
You know, she lives in us, and she inspired so many. There were like hundreds of thousands of books and art pieces that people sent to her.
Yeah.
I was with a friend and we found her book that she sent to her and she signed it. You know, but it was part of her collection. Not forgetting the question. Oh yeah. Did she? I know she did some dance.
Yeah.
Did she also act like besides, you know, presenting her poetry?
Yeah.
Did she do?
Well, she started off as a dancer and a singer. She has an album called Calypso Lady, which you can look at, check out. I mean, this is not a recent work, but it's her first one. Right? She started as a formal professional dancer. Alvin Ailey and every other name you can list out there. She was a professional dancer. She danced on concrete, which is the first layer of dancers out there that danced on concrete and had the bad knees to show it. That was her first foray, and that's how she paid for life with my dad when he was a child, was dancing. Did she act? I mean, she had some acting roles. She was not an actor. She would never consider herself an actor. She was in Poetic Justice and a couple of other films and stuff like that. She did all the poetry for Janet Jackson and that. Tyler Perry. Yeah, she's done some acting. I don't know if she would consider herself an actor. I think she was a fan of the arts, and she was a Renaissance woman in the poetry writing. I guess she did have acting roles. We can add that in, dancing as well. She believed that art as a form is something everybody should practice, period. We all have, I don't know what, painting, you know, ceramics, something else, whatever it is, there's something about the human nature that needs to express something creatively. And she was a big promoter and fan of that.
So Colin, we have a question over here. Scott, mic is yours.
Hey Scott, how you doing, sir? How are you, sir? Thank you so much. Very inspiring.
Who are you again? Who are you?
My name is Scott Fox. Scott Fox.
Hello, Scott Fox.
Yes, very inspiring. Yeah, main tears back there. So, real quick history. 8 years ago, I knew nothing about volunteering, giving back, unifying, doing anything other than just pursuing my career. In the last 8 years, I've been humbled and I've grown. My question to you is very blunt and very quick. How can I help you achieve the goal that we've all dreamed of for a long time in unifying everybody? How can the rest of this room achieve the goal of unifying? And did you say this answer? I'm not taking anything away. First of all, let me honor your question. I'm not taking anything away. What can I do to help you? Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah. Well, first, I think being here is the beginning, and not listening to me, but being part of this group. Not about me. So, and I think this being here is a statement about how you see the world and what you want from this world. And I think that we can only live, how we feel, right? And so I think that whatever drew you to volunteering and giving your time, it doesn't even matter what you've given your time to. I think that we all need to understand we owe a debt, right? Somebody bought a shirt for you. Somebody put a meal on your table. Somebody raised you. Somebody said they loved you, If we just give a little bit of that back into the world, right? Just a little bit of that, a little bit. Like I said, we don't want to be Maya Angelou. She did a lot. She got a lot of heavy lifting. She's not the only person who did heavy lifting, right? There's a lot of other people, you don't know their name, that did a great amount of work. And you can be one of those people. You can get a name or a non-name. I think that you already, by standing up, asking the question, talking about your last 8 years, you're already on that path. And it's not about helping me, for sure, right? I'm just there's somebody that heard her speak. It was impacting, and I heard it a lot, though. And she was like a regular person to me. Okay, she was like, "Did you do your homework?" Like I got those conversations, So, but really, the volunteering, I think, is huge. Really, giving of our time. What we're basically saying, we do that. You're saying, I get I have this job, and I get I have bills. We all have bills, right? But I know that this community, or this group, or this thing, or this cause needs my time. It could benefit, and our world will be better if I give this time. That equation you made is all you need. That equation, you added it up like they need me, and I'm not getting paid. But they need me, and I can make a difference. And we heard the call. So, man, I appreciate you.
Can I comment real quick? Yeah. That guy is the best example we have in Flagler County.
Let's applaud this man right here. I appreciate you, Scott. Thank you, man.
I'm going to clock watch this one. My name is Marlene, and your grandmother's video about unity, it's on the Unity website about how she came to know God, was so impactful to me, and I just wanted to ask you how her relationship with unity, the principles of unity, affected you in your life.
I can't speak directly to unity, but I can speak to, and I said this in my comments, that my grandmother did believe that her steps were ordered. Right? And what she would say is that one man standing on the word of God is the majority. Right? So she felt strongly about her beliefs, her faith, and that her calling and her work was part of that work, that she owed to that. I can't address the unity specifically, because you can talk to me about it, but I think that her faith was huge in her life. And it was big around her, what she felt like she owed back to society.
Awesome. I would say to all of you that Maya Angelou never woke up and said, "Good God, it's morning." I would say to you that she woke up every morning and said, "Good morning, God." One more question.
Hi there, my name is Becky Magnolia. Okay, so I have this thing about humanness, about being real, being human, and that even you've met some of these amazing humans, and you probably know better than most of us in the room how human even the big people are. So I'm curious.
Everybody's human.
Yes. Yeah.
No, in a real factual way, everybody's human.
So I want you to tell us something superhuman about Maya Angelou. Like something, just tell me something that really validates her humanness.
I'm sorry.
I mean, there's a lot of different things. What hit me originally when you said that was like, she get tickled by simple things, you know, and she loved simple things. She liked pawn shops. Straight up. So she traveled the country in a customized bus. The big tour buses with the bed in the back and TVs and stuff like that. And her staff had like little bunk beds in the middle. And literally, she would stop for pawn shops and fried chicken. So, and she only liked the drums, no flats. So, you know, so literally she'd be like, this is that place with that fried chicken. You know, and we'd be on the bus. I'm like, oh, we're stopping. When she passed, I got her purse, her wallet, right? In the wallet, a card for a pawn shop. Okay? All right. I don't know that she bought a lot from pawn shop. Like, I never got a pawn shop gift, but she must have done something in these pawn shops. So, and I know she wasn't selling stuff, so, but she liked pawn shops. She liked to see. I'm not sure. You know, I'll be honest, I never asked her exactly what the love of pawn shops was. It was like the shopping of people's lives or something. I mean, I don't know. It's something there, but yeah. Did I answer that? Yeah. Okay. I really appreciate the Tiger Bay. I appreciate you being interested in my grandmother. I appreciate the work that you're doing here. I think that my grandmother supports the work that you're doing here. I hope you all continue to bring your children and build many generations in this work because the only place we can go, we can't go anywhere without each other. We need each other. We need everybody in this room. So I appreciate you all. Thank you so much for loving my grandmother.